and we didn't have a plan all written out for how or who. We both studied the business, attended meetings together, and started to jump into doing whatever was necessary to win. Gary didn't say, "Drenda, it's your job to do this or that." We weren't that sophisticated. We knew where we wanted to go, and both of us started doing what we saw would move the ball to the goalpost. But to be sure, there were some long discussions and dreaming sessions, whether on a road trip driving our kids to see Grandma at Christmas time or on a family vacation. At times, these discussions turned into the questions, what are we doing wrong? But they always ended with course corrections and new hopes of how changes could take us that much closer to our goal. I stepped into areas in our business that were natural strengths for me, while Gary worked steadily in areas that were his. We weren't trying to prove anything or compete. We were trying to survive one more day to achieve our objective. If we didn't work, we didn't eat. He was completely commissioned, and because I believed in him and I believed in our dreams, I did everything I could to learn, support, and work with him. It wasn't a drudgery. It was fun most of the time. Vision is exciting, and moving closer toward our dreams inspired us to deal with whatever personal struggles we had to tackle to make it. Dreams fuel your life, and faith fuels your dreams. Our faith in God's Word and in each other made all the financial struggles surmountable. We were just one day closer to our common goals. I discovered my passions and gifts in serving our vision. We both became better because of the value we learned to place on each other. Saying I do is not a guarantee there won't be conflict. You can expect there will be. That's just common sense. A magical pixie dust doesn't fall out of the sky to ensure you're never going to disagree, argue, or occasionally battle. Just don't let it become a war. War presumes the other person's motives and character are villainous and that they're about to strike. You live in a defensive posture if you believe this, waiting for the attack. No relationship, let alone a marriage, can survive in a war zone like this. You can live in pressure and battle outside in a war zone, but you can't believe that the person you live with is the enemy. People who have lived through real wars have managed to keep their marriages intact, but they did so by pulling together and recognizing that the real enemy was not their spouse, but a much greater, more sinister force from outside. That's the protective shield we must fight with if we are to succeed. We must keep the darkness out and reject anything that tries to come against our love for our marriage partner. Did Gary and I ever have conflict? Of course, and occasionally we still do. But it's met with much more maturity and understanding today. I would say the beginning of a vision and its fruition are the best part of the journey. There are some sticky situations in the middle that can be the hardest because you're working but aren't seeing the outcomes you'd like. That's the pressure point when it's tempting to argue or blame the other person for the pressure. But we need to decide that we're not going to allow arguments to divide us. We can learn to disagree without demands or division. Whether you're in a marriage or in a conference room, God is speaking to you through others. We share a dream and begin to speak words back and forth that create. God created everything that exists by speaking His word, and He placed that same creative force in each of us. Men and women succeeding together can give birth to a company, a product, or a child. What words are we speaking, and what dreams are created or destroyed by the power of our words? Words come from the heart, and the heart gets pictures from what we meditate on. The messages we hear and pictures we see form our thoughts. Are we listening to the popular fads or timeless truths? Think and speak God's thoughts and promises to begin to change your communication. Arguments, battles, and war. There's a difference between having an argument, a battle, or an all-out war.